Hi there everybody and welcome back to another video right here on the Toon Review YouTube channel. My name's Paul. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. It finally looks, ladies and gentlemen, like Miguel Almirón may well be leaving the club in this winter transfer window. That comes after a £10 million bid from his former club in the MLS, of course, Atlanta. And I think this would be a perfect move for Miggy. Obviously, he's been linked with plenty places during the build-up to the window and since the window opened. You know, Brazilian teams interested, Argentinian teams interested, but he's still really loved at Atlanta. And the fact that he knows that area, he knows the club really well, I think it'd be a perfect move for Miggy to go and finish his career there. But for Newcastle, I think it's very much about PSR. They've stated in certainly a lot of the reports that I've read this morning that PSR is the main issue that they're looking to sell. Miggy will generate some money, of course, I think he's on about 60k a week as well. That'll come off the wage books. So that will enable us to possibly look at other alternatives. Now, as I do this video, from what I can gather from the reports I've read this morning, that all that needs deciding now is wages. Of course, Miggy is very well paid at Newcastle United. Atlanta probably won't want to pay him anywhere near that, but I'm sure that something can be worked out, Aria's wages with bonuses, etc. So I don't expect that to be a major hurdle, certainly now that Atlanta have come in for him. It was, of course, Charlotte FC, but Atlanta now, you know, he's not going to turn them down. It's a wonderful opportunity for go back. You get first team football there, etc. And of course, he loves the area. So it's a fine move. But for Newcastle United, they have stated that they probably won't be looking for a replacement. Now, I don't know who the spokesman was for Newcastle United. All I know that 3 or 4 reports I've read on this Miggy move this morning, they've all stated that a Newcastle spokesperson, so it could be anybody, has stated that Newcastle probably won't be looking for a replacement. I, as a fan, I don't believe that. I don't think that Newcastle United would be comfortable with just Jacob Murphy until the end of the season. Now, yes, Jacob Murphy is on fire right now, and long may that continue. But if something happened to him, suspension, injury, we need cover. I know we've got players who've played there this season, such as Joe Linton and Anthony Gordon, but do we really want to move them from the positions that they're excelling in this season? I don't think so. I think we really need to look for a forward. Maybe who can play as a striker or a right winger at times. I think a forward is a necessity. Centre-back for me now isn't really a problem until the summer. I think that's when they'll revamp everything. Of course, the Lloyd Kelly move to Fenerbahce is still up in the air, whether they come back in with a new offer or not. That, as I record this, is yet to happen. So I don't know what's going to happen with Lloyd Kelly. But for us, it's very much about gaining some money. And Miggy out the door is well expected. Is well expected. You know, the build-up to the transfer window and since the window opened, Miggy has always been at the spearhead of anybody to leave. Obviously, there's been rumours about Sean Longstaff, Matt Targett, Callum Wilson, Kieran Trippier, etc. But Miggy's always been the one that we have always looked upon, certainly from a fan point of view, as the player that would probably leave first. Now, what is interesting is that another Newcastle United player is linked with the MLS again. And funny enough, it's Charlotte FC that is showing the interest, and that's in Matt Targett. Now, obviously, Matt Targett has been... well, I mean, he came in on loan, didn't he, and did really, really well in the season that the takeover happened. He's had a dreadful run of injuries, but came back against Bromley and looked really good. Now, I know everybody's going to say, yes, of course, he'd look good against Bromley. He's a Premier League player and he should look good against Bromley. But Charlotte FC seem to have a real interest. And Dean Smith is the manager of Charlotte. And Dean Smith, of course, used to be his boss at Aston Villa. So it would seem to balance, and it would be a good move for Matt Targett, I think, because he'd certainly get first-team football. Dean Smith is a big fan of Matt Targett, and you know, it's been stated that Charlotte are really trying to improve their squad. The link with Zaha, the world link with Miggy, of course, but now Matt Targett as well. Now, again, what I will say is Matt Targett was one of these players that was possibly highlighted for a sale this winter. Of course, he hasn't played very much for us, but he's now back fit again. But Lewis Hall's excelling in that position. Lloyd Kelly's there as well as cover. Dan Burn can play left back at times if he's needed. I really do think time is up for Matt Targett as well. Despite him playing really well against Bromley, you would think that Newcastle United might want to keep him just for injury purposes if, God forbid, anything happened to Lewis Hall. However, again, they have to be looking at PSR. And that's the main reason I think that Newcastle United are looking to sell, because Eddie did state in his press conference last week, or actually before the game last night, that he didn't really want to disrupt the squad. He wanted to keep the squad as is, and he said if there was no incomings or outgoings, he'd be pleased. Now, I don't know whether to believe Eddie Howe on this or whether he's just been told by people above him just to sort of brush it off, because, you know, many times Eddie stated that he's not privy to what goes on in transfers, whether it be renegotiations of contracts and people coming in and players going out. That's nothing to do with Eddie. Eddie coaches the team, and that's what his main priority is with whoever players he has. So if Newcastle United hierarchy look at the books and say, yeah, if we can sell Miggy and we can sell Matt Targett and get some money for him, then obviously that will massively help with PSR. Certainly wages-wise, they'd get a couple of players off the wage books, and that would free up some more money as well. But you know what? I've been thinking about this, and you know, since Miley's come back from his injury, Joe Willock has come in for a lot of criticism from Newcastle United fans, and really I don't blame them, because, you know, Joe Willock came on again yesterday and didn't really do anything. He lost the ball numerous times, but he's been doing that frequently. We haven't seen a really good run of games from Joe Willock. And I know he's been injured. Don't get me wrong. I know he's had injuries. But in your opinion, and I'm asking you guys out there, would you look to sell possibly Willock to make a decent amount of money? Because I think we can get some good money for Joe Willock, but it depends on who would take him. But I think there would be other Premier League teams interested in Willock, even despite his injury troubles. I think Willock would be one that I'd look to sell, certainly if I was looking to make money for PSR. Sean Longstaff is another one. Obviously, we won't get rid of both of those because they're two centre midfielders, and, you know, we can't, you know, scrape on numbers, I guess, as the season goes on. But if it was Willock or Longstaff, I mean, we'd still make good money. I don't think we'd get a lot for Matt Targett. There's nothing on the report this morning saying what the valuation is or if there's going to be a transfer fee. 10 million for Miggy. Certainly the wages from both players will be a massive help. And then, of course, you've got whatever Longstaff or whatever Willock's on. Would you look at selling one of those two? Willock, for me, I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's made of glass. I really do. And listen, I like Joe Willock as a player because when he's on form, he is brilliant. He, you know, when he runs at people and he really gives it a go. But how many times do we see that from Joe Willock? Not many. And then, of course, he plays a few games and he breaks down again. And it's very much like a Callum Wilson situation, isn't it? And to be honest, we need players that we can rely on being fit. I know that's a strange thing to say in a way, because you can never say that a footballer is going to be fit all season, but you can pick up a trend, can't you? You know, when players sort of come back for a few games and then they're out again for weeks on end, such as Callum Wilson. Now, there's nothing on Callum Wilson either, whether, you know, teams are interested in him. I really don't think there'll be much interest in him, to be honest, because he's injured, and he's injured all the time. So to try and get anything from Callum Wilson for me would be a real push. But I just wanted to ask you about Willock or Longstaff. Where would you stand? Would you look to sell one of those two in the window to really boost our sales, of course, for PSR? Would you be happy going the rest of the season without getting a replacement for Miggy? I'm not sure I would, to be fair. I really would love to see somebody come in and help Jacob Murphy in order for him to rest. And listen, while Jacob Murphy's playing as well as he is, I don't think, you know, we need to bring anybody in to replace Murphy. It's to obviously for squad depth, but we need to bring in better quality than Miggy. So I think the front three for Newcastle at the minute are probably firing on all cylinders, and one of the best front three we've got in Europe right now. And I'm under no illusion about that. They are on fire right now, our front three, and long may that continue. But we do need depth. We do need squad depth because, you know, this squad, or starting 11, is a couple of injuries away from being a disaster, really, when you look at the positions that we don't have a lot of squad depth in. The fact that Barnes is out injured, etc. You know, who knows what's going to happen. Fabian Schär was ill yesterday. Not sure whether it's an illness that's going to keep him out for a few games or whether it was just a one-off. So for me, I think squad depth is a necessity. But what do you think? I mean, are you happy to see the back of Miggy? Would you be happy to see Matt Targett go to Charlotte? Of course, these players are very much on the periphery of the first team, not really getting a lot of minutes, so it would make sense. But out of maybe the two midfielders that you'd possibly look at selling, would it be Willock or would it be Longstaff in this winter window? Longstaff has been, there's been rumours about him leaving as well. But I think for me, Willock would fetch a good price. And would be probably the one I'd look at selling, because I don't think he's doing it for Newcastle when he is fit. He hasn't done it for a while, but we know he's got it. We know he's a very, very good player, but he's very inconsistent. And I think that's what a lot of Arsenal fans actually said when he moved to us from Arsenal, was that you get a couple of good games from Willock and then he'd go missing for a while and then he'd be coming back. That seems to be the trend with Joe Willock, but let me know in the comments below. But there you go. That is certainly what I've picked up this morning. If there is any breaking news this afternoon, we will bring it to you here on the Toon Review. Don't you worry about that. But if you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. And of course, if you're new and you like what you see, please do subscribe. Free to do so, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you very soon. Take care.